your thing. I didn't hear your thing. You've been beat. Madam Clerk, I think we have a quorum. Pam's going to be a little bit late. Call to order this Town of Cedar Point regular meeting Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025. Tonight we have Jeff Duncan back there somewhere. I see him. He's going to lead us into invocation tonight, and if everybody standing afterward, we will do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. Father, what a privilege, what an honor to come before you and pray for your blessing on this meeting. We thank you for this town and pray for this meeting. We pray for this meeting to be a blessing for this town. I pray for these commissioners to have wisdom and guidance and direction for these citizens as well. May there be peace, may there be unity, may this meeting be very productive. We just again pray for your blessing on it and pray for your blessing on this town and give you praise for it. And we ask it all in the holy name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, privilege.
Nice to see all you guys. Did you get here through the traffic? You heard you crazy traffic. All right, has everybody had a chance to look at the agenda and the consent agenda?
Mayor, before you make a motion on that, just want to make sure everybody saw the street sweeping agreement with the town of Beaufort there in front of you. We put it at the table. We did not have it finalized in time to get in the agenda packet. Town of Beaufort did approve it last night as far as their side of the agreement there. So I want to make sure everybody had an opportunity to see it, review it before you took action on it.
All right, does anybody want to add or delete anything out of the agenda or the consent agenda? If not, a motion to approve.
Make a motion, we approve the agenda and consent agenda as presented.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? We're on. Okay, Caitlin Sabadish with the Carteret County Board of Elections is here with us tonight. Hey, Caitlin.
Well, thank you all for having me. My name is Caitlin Sabadish. I'm the Director of Elections. I've been in this role for, it'll be 6 years in October. So this will be my second time coming to the town of Cedar Point and going through what to expect in the upcoming municipal election. Just going to go over the town organization, what's outlined in the town charter, and how we really operate our municipal elections here in Cedar Point.
You should just be able to click it.
Oh, okay, there we go. Gotta put my back into it. All right. So as far as the town government organization, there's a mayor seat, which is a 4-year term. There are 5 commissioners that alternate the election schedule on a 3-2 alternation. So this year, we've got 3 seats available. In 2027, there will be 2 seats available, pending any vacancies. As far as, and for all the commissioners, it is a 4-year term as well. For any resignations or appointments, it is an unexpired term. So let's say if there was a vacancy and it was vacated more than half or less than halfway through the full 4-year term, that seat, that vacant seat would be on the next regularly scheduled election. It wouldn't fill through that full 4-year term because it was vacated prior to halfway through. All of this information is outlined in the town charter. Not every municipality is created equal, so that's specific to Cedar Point. The type of election that we operate here is also a nonpartisan plurality method. That's a fancy way of saying these are all nonpartisan seats. So when you see your ballot this November, you're not going to see which party affiliation these candidates are associated with, like you would in a primary election. So like I said, in November, we've got 3 commissioner seats available. Mayor seat is not up in 2025. The way that the candidates get on the ballot is through a candidate filing period. So the candidate filing period first concluded on July 18th. It's about a 2-week period at the Board of Elections where the candidates have to come in, file their campaign finance paperwork, and we also verify whether or not they're eligible and qualified to run for office. Cedar Point was a little bit interesting this time around for candidate filing. So this is a vote for 3 contest. At the conclusion of candidate filing on July 18th, we only had 2 candidates come in to file. When that happens, our 5-member bipartisan board can choose to extend the filing period by 5 business days or not. In this case, our board did vote to extend that candidate filing period to see if we could get a 3rd person to come in and file for the 3 vacancies. At the end of that 5 days on July 30th, we had 8 people total sign up to be a town commissioner. So there are quite a few names on the ballot. I do want to highlight what an undervote is and what an overvote is. So this is a vote for 3 contest with 8 people on the ballot. So if there is more than 3 bubbles circled in, it's considered an overvote. In the case of an overvote, that contest will not be counted because the machine and the Board of Elections cannot determine the voter's intent for that contest. So it won't invalidate the entire ballot if there were more contests, but it would invalidate that contest in which an overvote was cast. Undervotes are fine. If you only want to vote for 2 out of 3, that's fine. It's clear what the voter's intent was when they cast that ballot. As far as the write-ins, you will see 3 write-in spots. That's because this is a vote for 3 contest. So with the type of election that we run, we always have the number of write-in spots for the vote for in that particular contest. So you can write in a qualified name. Let's say you vote for one of these candidates and then also write them in the write-in line. Doesn't mean that they're going to get 2 votes. Okay. So we go through all of these manually. We're an office of 4. So this is a project that is done by hand by the office staff. So we see all of your Santa Clauses, we see all of your Dolly Partons. Okay, I don't need to see those this year, but I'd love to see Dolly Parton in office just as much as the next person. But she's not an eligible voter for this type of contest. So if you have someone that you do want to write in, make sure we do verify that it is a qualified and eligible candidate. If they get more than 5 votes, we are required to report that information publicly. So if it's less than 5, we just keep that to ourselves. It's public information, but we don't publish it. Those write-in votes will be available at the end of our canvass period. That canvass period is always 10 days from the election. So that gives us time to go through and make sure that all of our provisional ballots were cast, and we've got a 1-for-1 ratio, meaning 1 ballot was cast for 1 record of voter history. All right. So as far as voting and eligibility, a voter is eligible to vote if they reside within city limits. We get a lot of people, they might live in Beaufort, but they're very passionate about Atlantic Beach parking. And they want to vote in the Atlantic Beach Town Council race, but they live outside of city limits. Okay, they're not eligible to vote in that contest because they live outside of city limits. If anyone has any questions on residency or where they're registered, they can always contact the Board of Elections office, or they can go online to a voter lookup tool. It's through the State Board of Elections website. It's very easy. You just type in your information and it will pull up your voter history, your jurisdictions in which you're eligible to vote. So that is a very good resource to find out whether or not you're in city limits. I feel like I'm preaching to the choir. I think y'all know where you live, right? For the municipal election, we will have absentee by mail voting. We will be doing early voting, and we will also have voting on election day. That is for every municipality or all 11 municipalities countywide. As far as absentee voting, you might see on national news that we mail out ballots to every registered voter in the state. That is not how North Carolina operates. Other states do that. But here in North Carolina, you must request the absentee by mail ballot. So it's a form that must be filled out by the voter or a near relative of that voter. There's an online portal that facilitates that, or they can come into our office and fill the form out by hand or scan it and email it into us. The deadline to request an absentee by mail ballot is October 21st at 5 p.m. So all those forms we have to receive by that deadline, otherwise we're not able to generate an absentee by mail ballot. With the absentee by mail ballot, it's always going to come in this 9x12 envelope. It's going to have official election mail on it, Carteret County Board of Elections, and the voter's name. Inside this envelope, there's an instruction sheet. It's 4 pages and the font is very small. Break out your magnifying glass if you intend to request an absentee by mail ballot. I wish I could make it bigger, but I can't. So there is an instruction sheet that explains exactly what the requirements are and how to complete the absentee ballot envelope properly. There's also a common ID flyer. So this is kind of a quick reference guide on what types of photo IDs are acceptable for voting purposes. So with absentee by mail, a photo ID, a photocopy of a photo ID is required to be included along with the ballot. In addition to that, if someone does not have a photo ID, we always include this ID exception form. So this can be used for a voter that might have a religious objection to having their photograph taken. That's why they don't have a photo ID for voting purposes. Or there was a natural disaster, knock on wood, within 100 days of the election. So that's an instance where a voter might fill this out. So inside the big envelope, there are 2 larger envelopes. This is the container return envelope. It's blank on the back side, but this is what comes back to the Board of Elections office through the mail or returned in person to the Board of Elections office. So this is a privacy envelope that protects the voter's identity with the and signature, as well as the photo ID that's included with the ballot. The secondary envelope, photocopy of the photo ID gets inserted in this clear sleeve. Then on the back side, we have to have the voter's signature and 2 witnesses or a notary. So with those 2 witnesses, they must print their name, sign their name, state their address. If there's any type of deficiency with any of that, the Board of Elections cannot accept it as is, and it goes through a cure process. Every voter that enters into the cure process is contacted individually so that when we explain what the circumstances are so that they have the opportunity to cure their ballot and cast their vote. If anyone is assisting someone in completing this ballot, let's say they've got shaky hands, they're not able to fill in the bubbles. If they get assistance from someone, the assistant has to state their information at the bottom of the envelope. Then all that goes back into the container return and gets sent through the mail. All ballots must be returned to the Board of Elections office by 7:30 on election day. If y'all remember a couple years back, there was a 3-day mail extension or grace period. That is no longer the case. So the law has changed. All absentee by mail ballots must be returned to the Board of Elections office, whether it's handed in person at our office or through the mail, have to be received by the time the polls close on election day. For early voting is going to be here before I know it. It begins on October 16th and it runs through November 1st. Our operating hours are Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And we have one single Saturday, November 1st. It's our only one, and it is the last day of early voting. Our hours are cut short on that last Saturday. It's 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. We get a lot of folks that come out and they say, oh, darn it, today's the last day of early voting. I got to get out there. And they show up at 4 p.m. Well, on that Saturday, the hours are cut short because they were thinking, oh, it's 8 to 6, not a problem. Okay, hours are cut short on that one and only Saturday, so make sure we're getting the word out about that. We will have 3 locations. The closest site to here to y'all is Western Park, right down the road. We will also be operating out of Fort Benjamin Park in Newport, and we will also have a location at the Board of Elections office in Beaufort. And it does not matter where you live for early voting. You can go to any one of those locations and cast your ballot. In the event someone misses the voter registration deadline, they can still register and vote the same day during early voting. So that is not the case for election day, but during early voting, they can cast their ballot and register the same day. So election day, the big day, Tuesday, November 4th. The election day location for the town of Cedar Point will be at Western Park. You have to go to your election day precinct on election day to cast your ballot. Polls will be open from 6:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. and a photo ID is required for both early voting and election day voting. The voter registration deadline, this is the deadline for us to receive the hard forms to update address, update name, update party affiliation, things like that, is October 10th at 5 p.m. So just to touch a little bit more on photo ID, I think that driver's license is the easiest one. I think most people have that. That's the most common form that we see. We also accept military IDs, passports. I'm not going to read off the whole list, but it is available. I did talk a little bit about the ID exception form. If you also know someone that does not have a photo ID, you can send them down to the Board of Elections office. They'll fill out a form. We can print a photo ID for free for any Carteret County registered voter. So those 3 IDs, I mean, the whole process takes about 10 minutes. It's a little card. It's got the voter's name on it, their voter registration number, and it's good for 10 years. So this is good for voting purposes and it's free. A couple nuances with photo ID. If a person is 65 years or older and their driver's license was unexpired on their 65th birthday, and now they're 75, and it's expired since then, they can still use that expired driver's license because it was valid on their 65th birthday. That's a funny nuance. Also, the driver's license for anyone under the age of 65, it can be unexpired for 1 calendar year. So if you show up to early voting, you present your driver's license and you realize, oh no, it expired 2 weeks ago. That's fine. You can still use that as a photo ID for voting purposes because it's expired within 1 calendar year. The temporary IDs that you get from the DMV, that piece of paper that they mail you, that cannot be used as a form of photo ID for voting purposes. We ran into that quite a bit in 2024. They've got a piece of paper, it looks exactly like the real thing, but you can't use it because it is a piece of paper. So if you know someone that's in that situation, send them down to our office, we'll print them a photo ID and get them squared away. So I just want to touch a little bit on voter stats. I'm not going to bore you all with this too much, but in municipal elections, in 2023, we got just under 27% voter turnout. This is countywide. To me, I think that's really low. We're lucky if we hit 27 or 26. I think previously it's been 21 to 23%. So that's countywide. Just to put that into perspective, in a presidential election or a midterm election, we normally hit about 82 to 83% voter turnout countywide. That is a significant difference. So the reason I'm here tonight, the reason that I'm going out to other municipalities is just to get the word out and really encourage y'all. I mean, obviously you guys are involved, so again, I'm preaching to the choir, but I want you to go out and tell people what these deadlines are, where early voting is. Really encourage your friends and family and your neighbors to get involved in this process. The municipal elections is where all the magic happens, right? These are the boots on the ground, folks. So this is where it starts. Municipal elections are incredibly important. So I just want to encourage y'all to really, let's get some more people out to vote. In the town of Cedar Point, we have just over 1,600 eligible voters in town. So this should give you an idea of how many people are eligible to vote. And I will open it up for Q&A if y'all want, if you have time. I'm open to anything that you have, whether it's about November or voting equipment or anything.
Anybody got any questions?
Carol.
Yeah.
The federal or real ID, is that, if you don't have a real ID, is that an issue in municipal elections?
No, that's a good question. So you do not have to have the real ID as a photo ID. You need to be a regular document.
Federal elections?
All elections. So we're really just looking for the photo ID piece.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Why?
Hey, well, I got one question. I figured Jerry was gonna ask you, but he didn't want to, so. I guess.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank you,
gonna
Mayor.
call him out because he called me. So when we go to sign up to a run every time,
Mhm.
there's so much paperwork that doesn't pertain to anything we're really doing.
Mhm.
Because, we're not got a group of people paying us money and all that kind of stuff. Do you ever see where that gets fine tuned and it's not that chaotic? Because it turns chaotic.
Right, I wish I could make it easier. We're required to have y'all fill out those forms, so there is no shortcuts as far as that. That comes from the state board. I don't really have any control over that. As far as, I guess, the additional materials like the campaign finance manual or the candidate filing manual, that is just stuff that we give y'all so that you have it. It's really just a resource. I mean, if you don't want it.
We just want to go in there and give you a couple bucks.
Yep.
Sign a sheet and we're running, go on back home. It's about 5 minutes.
5 minutes,
So-
$5.
I understand.
Well, that's and I asked you that 6 years ago at your desk up there too, so you're just here again.
I wish
But-
I could reduce the paperwork. It's on me too.
I got you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Mayor, for throwing me under the bus.
I told you, I do that. You gotta be prepared.
I appreciate it. I can take it. I can take it.
Well, yeah, if y'all think of anything or have a specific situation that you have questions about, y'all know where to find me, the Board of Election Office. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you, Caitlin.
David, special use permit application, Carteret Healthcare. Open the hearing, and I'll ask for public hearing after you do your spiel.
Let me get to the right page here and get everything set up. Okay, we are now opening the evidentiary hearing for special use permit 2025-04. The applicant has requested the use of the property located at 1130 Cedar Point Boulevard for what they've identified as a healthplex. Under our ordinances, it's actually identified as a hospital. We'll get into a little bit more of that detail in a little bit. For a special use permit, the decision tonight will be made by a simple majority vote of the board. This hearing is a quasi judicial evidentiary hearing. That means that it is like a court hearing. State law sets specific procedures and rules concerning how this board must make its decision. These rules are different from other types of land use decisions like rezoning cases. The board's discretion is limited. The board must base its decision upon competent, relevant, and substantial evidence in the record. A quasi judicial decision is not a popularity contest. It is a decision constrained by the standards in the ordinance and based on the facts presented. If you will be speaking as a witness, please focus on the facts and standards, not personal preference or opinion. Participation is limited. This meeting is open to the public and everyone is welcome to watch. Parties withstanding have rights to participate fully. Parties may present evidence, call witnesses, and make legal arguments. Parties are limited to the applicant, the town of Cedar Point, and any individuals who can show they will suffer special damages. Other individuals may serve as witnesses when called by the board. General witness testimony is limited to facts, not opinions. If you plan on discussing impacts on property values and projections about impacts of increased traffic, you must be qualified as an expert and must provide the factual evidence upon which you base your expert testimony. Witnesses must swear or affirm their testimony. At this point, we will administer the oath for all individuals who intend to provide witness testimony. So if you plan on speaking in this hearing this evening, we'll need you to come forward and be sworn in.
Jeez.
If we miss you now, we can get you later, if you change your mind later.
Which I do swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
All right, disclosure. The parties to this case are entitled to an impartial board. A board member may not participate in this hearing if she or he has a fixed opinion about the matter, a financial interest in the outcome of the matter, or a close relationship with an affected person. Does any board member have any partiality to disclose and a recusal to offer? Hearing none. The parties to this case have rights for any ex parte communications to be disclosed. Ex parte communication is any communication about the case outside of the hearing. That may include site visits as well as conversations with parties, staff, or the general public. Does any board member have any site visits to disclose? Hearing none. Does any member have any conversations or other communications to disclose? Hearing none. Based on the disclosures we've heard from the board concerning partiality and ex parte communications, does any member of the board have an objection to a board member's participation in this hearing? Hearing none. Based on the disclosures we've heard from the board concerning partiality and ex parte communications, does any party to this matter, including the applicant or any of those that would be identified as a party which could suffer special damages, close relationship to the location of this, have any objection to a board member's participation in this hearing? Hearing none. All right, at this point, I will now introduce the hearing. I will go over the information that was provided in the special use permit application, give some background information, and then Mayor, you can open up for discussion from others and questions. So the application was included in the packet. It is also on the screen for those of you in the audience. There, it was submitted by Mr. Kyle Merrick. He is the CEO of Carter Healthcare. Address is provided there. The property is within a B1 zoning district. It's located at 1130 Cedar Point Boulevard. And the address given is for the parcel on the front. There's actually 3 parcels involved with this request. And I'll show you a map here in just a few minutes, but the tax parcel IDs are shown there. The applicant identified the proposed use of the property as a healthplex for Carter Healthcare with a 24-hour emergency room. Under our ordinances, it would qualify as a hospital. We'll get into the ordinances in a little bit, but just want to make sure everybody's understanding what the proposed use under our ordinances is. In order to be granted a special use permit, the proposed use must comply with all applicable requirements set forth in the town's Unified Development Ordinance. Additionally, following a hearing, the Town Board of Commissioners must find that all of the following standards will be met. The applicant is encouraged to provide written answers addressing each of the following standards prior to the formal hearing. Additional information, documentation, and argument may be provided at the hearing to support your position that each of the following standards will be met. So standard A, that the proposed use conforms to the character of the neighborhood, considering the location, type, and height of buildings or structures, and the type and extent of landscaping on the site. The applicant responded that the proposed improvements will meet the current Cedar Point UDO for type, height, and landscaping for the site. The location is along Highway 24 with a commercial corridor with residential behind the property. This use will benefit the existing residents as well as conform with the current uses in this area along Highway 24. The site also provides a 30-foot natural vegetative buffer along the south property line adjacent to residential units and will install a vegetative buffer area along the west property line adjacent to the condos. Standard B, that adequate measures will be taken to provide ingress and egress so designed as to minimize traffic hazards and traffic congestions on public roads. The applicant responded that proposed access points to the development will be from Currituck Drive and Lighthouse Lane with no direct connection to Highway 24. Access point locations will minimize traffic impacts and traffic congestion by providing storage on the secondary roads and not into the Highway 24 travel lanes. Standard C, that adequate utilities, water, sewer, drainage, electric, etc., are available for the proposed use. The applicant responded that the site will be serviced by West Carter Water Corporation for domestic and fire water service. An on-site septic system is proposed to be installed on the site to treat sewerage. Electric will be provided by Duke Power. All existing utilities are of adequate size to serve the proposed facility without upgrades. Standard D, that the proposed use will not be noxious or offensive by reason of vibration, noise, odor, dust, smoke, or gas. The applicant responds that the proposed use will be completely contained within the facility and will not create any noxious or offensive vibrations, noise, odor, dust, smoke, or gas. Standard E, that the establishment of the proposed use will not impede the orderly development and improvement of surrounding property for uses permitted within the land development district. The applicant responds that the proposed development will not impede the orderly development and improvements of the surrounding properties, since this use meets the requirements of the current Cedar Point UDO and zoning map. We would anticipate a positive impact to the surrounding community by providing local health care. Standard F, that the establishment, maintenance, and/or operation of the proposed use will not be detrimental to or in danger of the public health, safety, or general welfare. The applicant responds that the proposed use in its definition is to increase the health and general welfare of the community by providing local services for emergency, doctor's visits, imaging, and outpatient services with regards to healthcare. The ER is proposed to be operational for 24 hours a day, which should benefit the local community by providing a closer opportunity for emergencies. Standard G, that the use will be operated in compliance with all local, state, and federal laws and will not become a nuisance by creating criminal activity or public disturbance. The applicant responds that the facility will be operating in accordance with local and state requirements for this type of facility. No criminal activity of public disturbance is anticipated. So that is the responses that are provided by the applicant to the 7 standards that the board must look at. Now, to make sure everybody is understanding the site at issue, I'm going to pull over the GIS map. So as I mentioned to you earlier, the address that was provided is this 1130 Cedar Point Boulevard. It's the one that's highlighted here. We're here at Town Hall, pretty much across the road and a little further to the west. It does sit on Cedar Point Boulevard. Kind of to the southwest are the villas at Megan's Bay. Directly south of the property is the Megan's Bay subdivision. And the tracking includes the one that's highlighted, as well as the 2 directly behind it, this 1.4 acre tract, as well as this 1.3 acre tract. So in total, these 3 tracts combined. Although Carter Healthcare does own the adjoining 5 acre tract that is currently highlighted on the screen, no part of this request is dealing with that property whatsoever. So everything's focused on these 3 parcels as one project. And then I mentioned to you, pull this off screen for just a second while I pull this up, that it is defined as a hospital under our ordinances. The use itself. So let me put that here real quick. And the applicant will most likely explain this to you, but I think the reason they didn't use the term hospital is because it takes on a different connotation from a healthcare regulatory standpoint. But under our ordinances, it's a little broader on what the definition of a hospital is. Which is an institution providing health services primarily for human inpatient or, and it's the or there, medical or surgical care for the sick or injured, including the related facilities such as laboratories, outpatient departments, training facilities, central service facilities, and staff offices, which are integral parts of the facilities. So as submitted, there's no indication. In fact, there's an indication that there's not going to be any inpatient usage of the facility, but it's that or designator there that would trigger the definition of it meeting the requirements of a hospital. So just want to make you aware of that. Why there's a distinction between healthplex and hospital on that application. Here's another included with the agenda packet, just another view of the proposed site showing all 3 parcels combined as one in context with their surrounding properties. And then the applicant did provide some site plan information. I'm not going to go through all of that with you. Pending the outcome of this decision tonight, it is also on your agenda, should you approve this, to go ahead and look at the commercial site plan this evening as well. But it is included there as part of the special use permit application. And certainly the applicants or anyone's welcome to ask me to pull up any particular page to review it if necessary. So that is what has been submitted to us in anticipation of this hearing tonight. From a zoning standpoint, I will address that real quick. We'll pull the UDO back over onto the screen. And you will see that hospitals are permitted as a special use within the B1 zone. The property at issue is zone B1. So that is why it's before you this evening.
Okay, Colin, you want to come up and talk to us a little bit? A lot of things when you get talking, these 7 standards that's in there. You wrote a lot of information in there, and they're very well done. You answered a lot of them. We usually don't get that. So it's answered very well. But if you hit those some while you're talking, anything you want to draw to our attention, you will just go ahead and bring that up.
So as Mr. Reeves spoke, we are not going to have any inpatient stay here. The reason it's 24 hours in the state of North Carolina, you cannot have an emergency department and not be functioning 24 hours. So that's why we had to change to a 24 hours. There was some initial thought, the state of North Carolina was looking to change where you could do a 12-hour ED. They did not move forward with that. A lot of states still allow that. So that's why we needed to change the special use permit. At this facility, the first floor will house a 10-bed ED with the associated imaging, CT, general X-ray, and ultrasound. And then there'll be an MRI on the other side. Second floor will be an ambulatory surgery center, outpatient, strictly, typically Monday through Friday. I'm going to say 6 to 6. And the second floor will be basically housing for at least 8 providers and 22 exam rooms for multi-specialty. Majority of it being primary care. We will function some cardiology, and as we get into more specialties down in this area. The building will meet all state, local government requirements, and kind of here to answer any questions or anything you guys want to know further in regards to that.
Yeah. Anybody got any questions for Kyle?
Mayor, I've got 1 or 2.
Okay.
Mr. Merrick, I'm the town attorney. The board has got to base its decision on sworn testimony, if you will. You filed an application with respect to this special use permit application. And I just want to get you to state you're under oath that to your knowledge, all the information you included in the application is correct and true.
Yes, sir. It is. Everything in the application is correct and true.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, if there's no questions from Kyle. Anybody in the public got any comments?
Sure.
But before you speak, sir, you'll have to be sworn in. And then if you would come to the podium, state your name and address.
Swear you in right here.
Victor Brajani, 100 Lighthouse Lane, Cedar Point.
Raise your hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you, sir.
My question was that originally this was presented as a project that would be a medical complex that would close at 7 p.m. So not understanding why it's now going to 24 hours. I know he explained that the state requires that an emergency room operates 24 hours. Was the emergency room part of the original plan, or is this something that you're now getting to what you originally presented?
Yes, sir. When we initially presented, there was some talk in the state that they were going to allow a shortened timeframe, where like they do in other states for emergency departments. And the state of North Carolina did not change their requirement that it has to stay 24 hours.
So originally, your ER situation was originally planned, but you had thought it would be a 12-hour deal versus 24. That was my question. And another question I had was as far as getting in and out of there, living in the Villas of Magens Bay. We now have 2 ways to get in and out of our community. Will the Bodie Lane and the other was it Currituck Lane?
We have a site plan review right after we do this
Okay.
tonight.
Okay.
This is a whole different piece.
All right, appreciate your time.
Okay, any more questions? Motion to close the hearing.
We have a question, are we allowed to speak?
Well, this is, this is for the special use. I'm assuming you're gonna ask questions about the lot itself and different things like that. That'll come after this.
So the purpose here in this particular hearing is to determine whether or not these 7 standards would be met by their
My
proposal.
question, I have a couple questions on those.
Ma'am, if you would, just hold it just a second, let me finish. If you have something that you want to provide evidence, testimony to whether or not these standards would be met, that's what the purpose of this particular hearing is. So if there is, please identify yourself, all come up at the same time, be sworn in, and then you can take turns coming to the podium and making whatever statements, providing whatever evidence, testimony you want to provide.
Whatever testimony I want to provide, so I can respond to the.
Ma'am? If you're responding, if you are providing evidence as to those standards, then absolutely, you're welcome to participate. But you have to be sworn in.
Okay, now,
Anyone who wants to speak with regard to this permit application, please come forward and be sworn in.
is there anyone else? Raise your hand. And one more. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. I do. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nora Schwartz. I live at 104 Holland Farm Road. All right, my questions are: the 3 parcels have changed from 2021. The zoning, correct? It went from residential to a business. So that's, I wanted to state that for the record. Okay.
That. Mayor, may I? Yes, my friend. The zoning of this property has not changed at all during this process. It is a B1 conditional zoning district. Has been for, I don't know how long, I'd have to go back and check.
I thought in 2021 you changed it from residential to B1.
The zoning has not changed for this property in many, many years.
Oh, really? What was it in 2021 then?
It was B1 conditional.
Conditional. Okay, it's difficult to find some of this information, so if I'm wrong, I stand corrected. Okay. Letter C. That adequate utilities, water, sewer, drainage, etc., are available for the proposed use. The response: West Carteret water and fire, on-site septic system, which I would like to get back to, is proposed. D, the proposed use will not be noxious or offensive by reasons of variation, noise, odor, dust, smoke, or gas. The response: the proposed use will be completely contained within the facility and will not create any vibrations, etc. I don't know what completely contained in the facility means. Does that mean it's gonna have an incinerator? If it has an incinerator, will it be emitted into the air? Are there biologics that are used to destroy some of, I don't know, I guess the bacteria? Will there be solid waste? If there is solid waste generated by whatever this is, hospitalplex, will it be disposed of? Will it be transported by truck? I need a little bit more information, and I've been digging on this, but it's very hard to find it. And now I'd like to go back to F. That the establishment, maintenance and or operation of the proposed use will not be detrimental to or endanger the public health and general welfare. That's a pretty high standard. The response used by the applicant is a description of any hospital and the benefit of any community. Personally, I was offended by that answer. But the use is specific to this plot and parcel and site, and quite frankly, I'm not getting an answer. I would like to know if the septic system that is proposed for this, how can you have a septic system for a hospital? How is this possible? I was reading on septic systems and sewage systems, and a septic system is the least desirable way to get rid of hospital waste. And yet we're having one here. Doesn't it seem that this particular location does not seem suitable for a septic system? I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, this is a water community. What about when you have a hurricane? I don't know. I just don't think it's. I kind of lost my spot here. Wait a minute. I also don't think, and I may say one final thought. While I appreciate the security of a closer ER, but now I'm finding out it's not really an ER. This site has to be suitable and not create other problems. I don't know what this is anymore. I don't even think any of us do. Is this an ER or is this like a super urgent care? You have an urgent care right up the road. What will that do to that? And doesn't the planning on this have to take into consideration other businesses that are already in this? I guess that's pretty much what I had to say. I have a few more, but I wanted to know if there's been a traffic impact study, any proposal on property values, what is the proposed density, what is the open space percentage, and what is the extra parcel going to be used for, the one that is closest to the residences at Magnus Bay. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Leanne Schwartz, resident of Magnus Bay, and I think I can dovetail off of that a little bit. In regards to the sewage question, the septic tank question. It doesn't seem ideal to have a septic tank for a hospital, but if that's gonna be the case, have we done any due diligence for this septic system? Has there been soil samples done to see if it's even suitable to hold such a system? Has the water table been considered for a septic system in that location? I know just living here, as you drive down 24, in this right here, when it rains, it floods, and that flooding goes towards the sound, which means it's going towards whatever this proposed septic system is. So have we considered, again, the soil? Have we considered the flooding? And even the size, is there enough size? Is it going to be too close to the residencies? I know there's ordinances in the UDO of where the sort of machinery and different sort of facilities for the actual health quest have to be in regards to the boundary line. So from the proposal, it's so blurry and everything. I can't see where the utilities are. I can't see where this proposed septic system is going to be. And again, there's all these vague answers to these standards that it just says, we're going to have water, we're going to have septic system. Well, did we do, again, our job on seeing if the septic system would be appropriate there? And a couple of the other answers are kind of vague. There's no data given to back up any of these answers to the standards. And as residents and as commissioners and everyone that lives here, I think we're owed some data on if this hospital really is a good fit for this parcel of land. Yes, we need medical services down here, but is the hospital, again, a good fit for that spot? And these answers don't tell me anything. That doesn't tell me, yes, it is a good spot, or no, it's not a good spot. Again, the answers are kind of vague when it says, I think it's standard D, what's actually asking about the noises and vibrations. And it just says, no, we'll contain the noises and vibrations. How? Again, no data. How are you containing noises and vibrations? If it's an ER, I'm guessing there's ambulances. So I'm guessing the ambulance noise is gonna permeate more than just in the hospital complex. It's gonna hit the surrounding communities in Magan Bay, in the village, in Crystal Shores, even across the street over here in Marsh Harbor. You're gonna hear ambulances day and night. And there's ordinances, noise ordinances for our town that talk about having obnoxious noises, especially in the overnights, and recurrent noises. And I know there's exemptions for emergency vehicles, but that's emergency vehicles going through the town, not using the town as a landing point, not as a destination. You're gonna have ambulances here much more often than you do presently. So the question is, how are we limiting this noise issue? How are we keeping the noise from the ambulance and any of the machinery in the hospital plex within the noise ordinances that the town has? I don't see the data. I don't see the answer there. It just says, we'll be quiet. And another question, I think, in standard E, that is again kind of vague. I know on the most recent one, it talks about 30-foot vegetative buffer. The original plot we saw in 2021 had a 40-foot minimum buffer. If you look in the UDO, the buffer says 35 feet for business overlay district, which I believe this is. So what is it? Is it 30 feet? Is it 35 feet? Is it 40 feet? We don't have answers. We just have, guesses from the applicant. And that's not good enough as a resident to have these sort of just willy-nilly answers. I want data. How big is this building? How big is this building? So that's right on the limits. And if it's 50,000 square feet, are there other considerations to be done, like traffic impacts that I think someone already mentioned? I know there's a lot of answers. There's a lot of information not provided in these answers. So if any of those questions that I just threw out there could be answered, that would be appreciated. Thank you. $50,000.
My name is Crystal Shaw. I live at 120 Megan's Way. As you saw on the map, my house is directly impacted by this healthplex hospital, 24-hour, 4 or 5 urgent care. I have a lot of different opinions on it, but I want to stick with a lot of some things that other people have said. Immediately out the gate, it says that the proposed use conforms to the character of the neighborhood, considering the location, type, and height of the buildings. I would like to know what characteristics of what buildings, because there are no buildings around right there at that parcel that are a hospital, that are elevated to a hospital. The condos are completely different type of dwelling. Megan's Bay neighborhood is a completely different type of dwelling. You go to any local hospital around us, you go to Carteret General, you go to Onslow Memorial, you go to the Naval Hospital, there is not one residential property bordering or abutting to those neighborhoods. Am I against the ER or 24-hour care? Absolutely not. This location, it does not fall in line, number one, with A. The characteristic is not there. There are no medical buildings directly abutted to that property. The setback, I found the same information that Leanne did. The original proposal in 2021, because I got that letter, I got that information, we were all for it. It was glorified to us that it was going to be like the building across the street from us. Fair enough. It's open from 6:30 a to 7 p, closed on the weekends. Not what you want to see out your back door personally, but it is acceptable. Then B, it talks about minimize traffic hazard and traffic congestion. Anyone who goes along Highway 24, I would like to know again, what studies have been done for traffic. I know in communication with Mr. David Reef that there have been some traffic studies that have been done. But I would like to know right now what the traffic studies are, what they are in the summertime during peak time, and how even an ambulance is supposed to get out on Highway 24. It's hard for us to get out on Highway 24, turning right or left out of Highway 24 during peak season. You turn right and you're waiting forever for someone to be kind enough to let you out. If you turn left and you're trying to come in, you're waiting for someone to bridge, to give you a gap so you can get through. The problem that I see is we're going to have patients, visitors, staff. They're all also going to be increasing that traffic pattern. And if you take an ambulance and you turn right and the ambulance has to go to Carteret General, for instance, how are they even going to be able to get heavy traffic to divide to go down the road when it's already proposed to have a median down 24? I mean, there's so many things that I don't think have been clearly communicated or thought about, and it's not, it just, like Leanne said, the information that is provided does not really go into deep detail of how this is going to work in that area. Again, another area possibly. D, it was brought up, noise, vibration, odors. Obviously, we're also going to have lights. How are we going to be protected and not blinded by parking lights that are going to go 24 hours a day? How are we going to be protected by the noise from generators, mechanical equipment? If you go by Carteret General Hospital, it's noisy. It is always noisy any time of day, and not just because of the ambulances, but because of the HVAC, the mechanical things. Those things are loud, they're noisy. There's going to be a hum. So what kind of actual true buffer can we have that's not going to look hideous? You know, we can propose a sound wall that's like a highway, but is that really even going to look pretty in our mission statement of Cedar Point, to keep it small, to keep it a close, like a little family friendly town that is desirable? No, it's going to look obnoxious. And like other people have said, I think that there are just a lot of things that are not very clearly laid out. And I understand the desire to want to hurry up and get it going and get a building going, because there is a need in our community for medical, especially specialty care. I 100% agree with that. But this location and where it's at, I'm not too sure. I think that it's the right fit. And not to mention the property values that I definitely think will negatively be impacted, because I myself live right against that. And if I don't want to be looking out my back door, looking at it, then why would someone else want to? And I know even worse for us in Megan's Bay, the people who own condos and Megan's Villas, it's even worse for them because they have to look at it all the time. And I think that it will negatively impact our community.
Okay, I'm good with that. Everybody said all the good stuff already. Same thing I was gonna say. The only concern, the one
If
concern.
you would state your name.
Oh, I'm sorry, Robin Black, 400 Lighthouse Lane. So I'm one of those new condo owners who was told that it was gonna be a cute little medical building up front. And next thing you know, they took all the trees out. But my concern is, I was told that we pay to have the Lighthouse Lane and those roads maintained, the 4 buildings. And I'm concerned if this somehow passes And you have Lighthouse Lane as part of the entrance and exit, and I mean, we can't even pull out now. And if we're maintaining those roads, I'm curious to see the impact. We haven't had any data provided to us other than some basic information, but these are our homes, you know, and to look out your door and look at a parking lot, aside from the ambulances or whatever noises, it's very disheartening, not to mention a complete loss for my investment. But these are people's homes. But everybody else spoke beautifully and said exactly what I needed to say. Thank you.
Someone needs to be sworn in. Swear or tell the truth, the truth, nothing but the truth. Thank you.
My name's Andrew Clark. I live at 106 Megan's Way, which is every foot of my back fence has been affected in terms of just the trees being cut down. I did want to say though, I've never been to one of these, and I was so proud of the prayer. It's awesome that they can actually do a prayer of substance nowadays. I didn't know people still did that. Anyway, I wanted to put that out there, but also my back fence is where the 30 foot. So the 30 foot goes there. I've got 30 foot of trees now, which used to be all trees all the way to the road. And the amount of sound, I guess we're talking about B, is so loud when an ambulance comes by. It is hundreds of feet from my house, where it used to not be that way. So I guess my question is, because it says right here, will be completely contained within the facility. How are they going to contain the ambulance? Because right now it is very loud. Even the noise of the cars going by. I can see cars where I could not used to be able to see cars. And I just want to know how they're going to contain when there's going to be ambulances. It's going to have to be ambulances that come there on a daily basis. So how are they planning on completely containing that? Thank you.
David, is the sewer and all the stuff we're talking about. I mean, the state's in charge of all that stuff, so we ain't gonna have any information on things like that. This has nothing to do with everything that was just brought up.
Mayor, can I comment?
Sure.
I think a lot of times people don't quite understand the whole process here. The Carteret Health Department had to go through a very vigorous, in-depth application process to get this going. You know, it's not like they just kind of went and filled out paperwork and threw it on desk. I mean, this is all state related. You know, all the septic tank, the engineers, they didn't develop the septic system. This septic system, I'm pretty sure, has been very well engineered, very well thought of. I'm sure that not 1, 2, 3, but many soil samples have been studied on this property, from the runoff, from storm drain to everything in general. I think a lot of times we misunderstand that there's more people involved that lay this thing out, engineered. You know, the process, people stamp it for approval. You know, it's not like it wasn't thought of. Like even the traffic, I hear the traffic concerns. DOT, we don't have anything. The DOT are the ones that basically are the ones that are providing that road out there for us. We can make some exemptions. We can ask for some help and some guidance and everything else. But at the end of the day, this whole application process has gone very thorough through many operations of beyond us and above us to get approved. I just want to make sure that everybody's aware of that, you know, because that is an in-depth process. And, you know, for Kyle and for the Carteret Health Department or healthcare, I mean, they just fill out the applications and they just put in there what they want. And then the state he had to go through an extensive process with the state The state goes through, they explain to them what he can and can't do at that property. We don't have anything to do with that. I just want to make sure that everybody's aware of that probably process was way beyond us, way beyond us.
When we get to the point of looking at buffers, which is probably gonna be on the next thing we take a look at tonight. I mean, there's a 30-foot buffer there. So there may be something needs to be gone in there. We haven't talked about it yet. We haven't got it in front of us. You know, there was a parking lot there that people parked in all the time. And there was people in that parking lot that shouldn't been in there. And that's been there the whole time. So the little parking lot right behind them trees, it's always been there. They've parked all kinds of trucks in there and all kinds of stuff, and people pulled in there. They've been doing it for years. It's a strip that runs right down behind those trees. It's always been there. I'm from here too. I've been here since the early 50s. I know exactly what's happened in Cedar Point. And that's always been there. But we haven't got to that point yet. All we have is a special use permit application. It's a permit application. So as he said, there's a lot of people looked at this long before us. And I mean, we're not even ones that decided to put it here.
Mayor, I'm gonna suggest that you ask if there are any more questions of the witnesses and then close the public hearing. And then get into the board discussion.
You might want to consider giving the applicant an opportunity to respond to some of those.
Yes, I would agree with that. If Mr. Merrick is
If they want.
inclined to respond, he has an opportunity.
So yeah, just in regards to the noise from ambulances and maybe not sworn in, you can probably see that's a lot better. We require the same thing at Carter Healthcare. When they pull off the main road into the organization, they are required to turn off the lights. Now, can I tell you 100% of the time they do? Sometimes they make a mistake, but they are required to turn off their sirens when they pull in. So that will not change. That is still a requirement of ours to the individual departments. And the same thing when they're leaving, they cannot turn their lights on, their sirens on until they exit. In regards to the septic system, yes, the county and the state have to sign off on all that, and people way smarter than me engineer that stuff. There will not be medical waste. This will just be human waste.
Say that again, we didn't hear you.
There will not be medical waste in the septic. We will not do that.
Where will the medical waste be?
We have to haul all that.
How often do we get home?
They pick it up typically on a rotating schedule.
Once a week, is it every day?
Depends on as you ramp up, right? So if you only have one bag, then you hold it in a secure location inside the building with HEPA filters through the roof that are required by the state, and you have to change their own, and then you get inspected by the state. But it's Stericycle, the group that actually calls out all. You see those trucks run up and down the highway all the time. They go to your plant. When medical waste,
Are you an engineer? Are you an engineer? Yes, you need to be. Yeah.
So let me kind of orient everybody with this drawing. Down at the very bottom of the screen is Highway 24. Along the right-hand side is Currituck Drive. So the grayed out area would be the hospital building itself. So at the rear of the property, which would be adjoining the Megan's Bay lots, you have a 30-foot natural buffer that was required as part of the conditional use zoning that went in decades ago when all of the lots of Megan's Village were platted. So there were the condo lots along the back and 3 commercial lots along the front. And that was put in, I think, in the late 80s. I'd have to go back and check. I can pull that up if we need it. But that's why that shows up on a map book 30, page 684, from that plat for the entirety of Megan's Village, the village at Megan's Bay. So in front of that would be where the septic system what you're seeing here on the left-hand side of the screen is the actual septic system that would serve the facility. In North Carolina, the health department requires a repair area. If for some reason the initial system fails, there's a designated tract of land, an area set aside where you could then put a new septic system in, should you need it. It's typical of every septic permit that's been issued in the last couple of years, unless it's some very minor engineered things from the 80s that still come to fruition. But for the most part, that's what you'll see is your traditional location as well as a repair area. So on this drawing, what you see is the septic field along the left. This over here would be maintained as grass until such time as it would be needed. Should it ever be needed. And what you see at the very top of the screen are the individual lot lines for the residential lots. That would be backing up to it.
So where's the leach field?
This is the leach field.
Oh.
Those lines are 90 feet long.
So as close as possible to the residential. Okay. Just where you live. Come on, guys.
Where I live. Can I ask you, sir, now that we're listening to that this is all state regulated, but I was reading about septic systems and sewers, and the septic system for a hospital is the least desirable. Wouldn't you or would you not agree with that?
We are not impatient. It's not inpatient, this is all into the package.
So, spending the night is what do you think?
There's different things that trigger once you get to 24 hours that require. Typically, they prefer you to do the entire county system for town.
Yeah, because a lot of times if you're hooked up to the sewer system, bigger hospitals, hospitals have treatment plans before they're even allowed to get into the sewer system. So, no? I know I'm not from here, but that's.
Not around here. No.
I just don't think that I just think there's better locations.
I did want to answer your question in regards to the living maintenance. We are actually part of that one with the location too, because there's 2 lots. The 2 lots in the back are part of that. So
There's a planting plan.
yes.
In which you've already
In the
presented
commercial
in this
side.
session. There's a planting plan.
Yes.
That you can show.
That is in the next.
Yeah, so that'll get reviewed as part of the commercial site plan approval process. Certainly it is something that the board can take a look at, if they find it relevant to the special use permit hearing, what's being proposed for it.
Any other questions?
The main thing is what is best. Going for you. You got so much.
Excuse me, ma'am.
You haven't sworn in. Oh, sorry, that's all.
Sworn in, I'll say what you were gonna say. It's right on the land planning from 2024. One of the, I guess it was in the mission statement, but it's also, there was out to residents and business owners, and there were 5 things that were highlighted that the residents and business owners wanted to see Cedar Point kind of maintain, and one of them was maintain a small town feel. So you tell me if how a 24-hour hospital, 50,000 square foot building, which there's no other buildings besides maybe tractors on that, is up in the story. Is maintaining a small town feel. And that's just to the parcel.
Residential neighbor.
Yeah,
That's
it's
the
a
main point, it's 2 residential properties.
And we know that B3 lot next to it is gonna be also developed at some point, so the 50,000 square foot building is just the beginning of the demolition of a small town field. So that's maybe what the question was how are we maintaining a small town?
Any more questions? Entertain a motion to close hearing. Motion on the floor, all those in favor? Aye. Now closed. Okay, any discussion for David or Kyle? Entertain a motion.
Mayor, I'll make that motion. Make a motion to approve without conditions the special use permit application SUP 2025-04.
Got a motion on the floor, all those in favor?
Mayor, could you include in your motion a finding of fact that each of the elements required for special use permit?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I did not add that. I find in my motion that all five, all seven elements have been basically satisfied. They have been satisfied.
Motion on the floor. All those approved?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Carry none, it's passed. All right, David, commercial site plan review.
Shame on you.
Y'all, I can't hear when y'all talk again.
I'm ready.
All right, the next item on the agenda is the commercial site plan for this project. The applicant again, actually the applicant on this one is the engineer for the project, Michelle Clements out of Greenville. The owner is Carteret Healthcare. Property address information's all still the same. The description is the new healthplex owned by Carteret Healthcare, so with associated parking and utilities. They put this on a zoning permit application just to provide that content information for you. Walking through the commercial site plan itself, it was included in the agenda packet. You'll see several pages to that. The first is the demolition plan, showing the removal of some of the trees out front, the removal of the old road bed that was there before. The next one is your more general site plan layout. This provides the most detail of exactly what's being proposed on the structure and parking facilities itself. You do see the two-story building here. In the middle of it, on the left-hand side of the screen is Highway 24. Along the bottom of the screen would be Currituck Drive. And then this rear entrance right here lines up perfectly with Lighthouse Lane. It is designed for customer, client parking, if you will, out front, with parking in the rear for staff employees. There is a parking schedule that is provided here. I'll blow that up for you. Talks about the required number of parking spaces. This site, based on the use, would require 52 spaces for the 13 doctors, as well as 50 spaces for employees. What they're providing is 105 spaces. So they're providing 3 more spaces than are required. ADA would require 4 accessible parking spaces. They're providing 10 ADA accessible parking spaces on the site. In order to help them meet their requirements from a stormwater standpoint, the parking areas you'll see here that have this kind of brick pattern looking to it are actually designed to be pervious. So you'll have some impervious drive aisles and things of that nature, and then some pervious parking spaces. They did oversize the parking spaces to make it easier for people to get in and out of their vehicles. They're 10 by 20. State law now says we can't require anything greater than 9 by 18. So they did oversize those for convenience. With the accessible parking spaces located as close to the building as possible. On the east side, which would be the top side of the screen here, what you see is a drive-through canopy that would be there for the non-ambulance emergency room access. So your general public would use this canopy for pickup and drop off. Then of course you've got your front entrance here. Do have some retaining walls that would be used to provide storage for their stormwater along this west side of the property here. And then, as I mentioned earlier, you do have your septic system located here in the very back. Dumpster location that was brought up would be located here, which is near the rear emergency room entrance. This is where ambulances would be pulling up to. To kind of put this project into context, I'm going to pull over another map. And what I want to do is overlay the aerial that you see with what's proposed. So this kind of gives an idea. Let me reduce the increase the transparency a little bit here for you. Oops, sorry, I got the wrong one there. So you can see Lighthouse Lane here at the back, continuing straight into the parking lot. And the entire building itself, the two-story structure, would be located north of that existing driveway. So give you context there. I then went ahead and overlaid what was the original plat of the development, so everybody could kind of understand what would have taken place or what was likely to take place had the hospital not purchased these 3 lots. And that would have been additional condo buildings located as close as 91 feet to these property lines. So, you know, the hospital's now 300 and some feet away as opposed, and a 2-story building as opposed to 3-story buildings located just 90 some feet away. So for what it's worth, that is the overlays of what has been approved. As I did mention, I can pull this back up here. You can see this line that cuts through here, this dashed line all the way along the rear. With the condos that were previously proposed in that location, they would have had septic systems located close to the buildings, but in the event those systems failed, they were given the ability to clear out the 30-foot buffer that you currently see to put their septic systems right up along the property line. So this project actually shows the septic systems being located further away than the condos. The building's smaller and located much further away than the condos. So I just thought it was worthwhile to put some of that into context. So back to the drawings. The next one here, this is their grading plan. Doesn't tell you a whole lot unless you're used to looking at engineered plans on the elevations where their stormwater's going. It's actually draining towards this side and the front of the property. Is where all their stormwater's draining to. This next drawing, take a look. Oh, this is the utilities, where the electric is coming in, things of that nature. The next one is their landscaping plan. So as you can see here, they've proposed quite a bit of landscaping, both along the front, side, right up along the building, as well as out in their parking area to the rear of the building. These are large trees designed to reduce the impact of noise and light and things of that nature. There is one issue that was mentioned to Carter Healthcare at the planning board meeting. They're showing a few less trees along the front than is required. They have indicated that they will be updating their landscaping plan to make sure they meet that requirement. Our ordinances would require one tree or 3 flowering trees for each 25 lineal feet of street yard frontage. And so they're going to be converting some of these plants along the front to trees that meet our ordinance. I would recommend as part of the decision this evening that you make that as a condition of that. Additionally, they were made aware of the requirement that prior to installing any lighting, as far as parking lot or landscaping lighting, that has to be approved by by the town. It does not come back before the board. It's just prior to that installation, just like signage is prior to its installation. So they have been made aware of our lighting requirements. We do have a section specifically stating how much lighting can go off-site, and they have to have that lighting plan engineered to meet the town's ordinances from a lighting standpoint. So that is everything else is just minor details and how the boxes are constructed and signs and that sort of thing. That is the bulk of the site plan explanation. I'm open to any questions that you might have on that. With regard to the 30 versus 35-foot buffer, in North Carolina, when you start a project, you get what's called vested rights because part of this project has previously been constructed. The 30-foot vegetative buffer would become a vested right aspect of that common plan of development. We did go through back in 2021, there was a review to change both from the town standpoint, what was approved in that conditional permit, there was a change in the, I'm trying to remember how that actually took place. There was a change that had to take place between the developers and the property owners out there to allow the sale of those units to be not be used as condos. But that was all taking place, as part of that process back in 2021. That did not change their ability or the limitation by their own site plan, which was approved decades ago to have a 30-foot wide buffer in that location. So that's why it is shown as 30-foot, because it kind of predates our ordinance changes in 2019 when the UDO was adopted. So that explains what's going on there. But I'm open to any questions that you have.
Any questions for David?
I do think that what he just presented to everybody clarified some of the concerns that those people had in regards to how far from the buffer from the 30-foot, the parking lots in the back. I also want to say that this building is going to be a noise buffer too. I mean, you think a pine tree, taking down a pine tree versus a 2-story hospital, that is going to be a good buffer. So David, I appreciate you clarifying some of that stuff to make it clear for us. Appreciate it.
Entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the commercial site plan for the Carteret Healthcare facility, health complex facility.
Got a motion on the floor. All those approved?
Aye.
Right.
I was going to ask, can you make sure that you include with that motion an update of the site plan to reflect the change in the landscaping to have minimum, I think it's 12 trees.
Trees, add trees is supposed to be.
To replace summer plants to trees. Be required to satisfy the requirements.
Do I need to state that? Right, here we go. I'm writing my little notes down.
James,
Jane, you good? All right.
Greg, so moved.
Yes,
You got
So that-
it.
I have it, yes, sir.
so moved.
Got a motion on the floor, all those in favor?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Lieutenant's not here tonight.
He had some surgery on his shoulder, so he's recuperating, but he's doing well.
All right, Dave.
Mayor, we do have item number 6, which is a Board of Adjustment
Oh,
member
that's all right.
application.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. What I'm here for.
Talk to me about it.
So we have a Board of Adjustment hearing coming up in the near future. When Jane had reached out to our existing Board of Adjustment members, we learned that one of them had moved out of the area, which created an opening on the Board of Adjustment. She posted it on Facebook and in our email blast, asking the public if there's any residents in Cedar Point who would like to serve on the Board of Adjustment. And Mr. Michael Voss did provide his application. He specified in there, and it is in your packet. Get to it in just a second. He did specify in the application that his preference was for the planning board. I called him, spoke to him directly, asked him, explained the differences between the planning board and the Board of Adjustment. And he indicated a willingness to serve on either one of them, even understanding that the planning board would have something coming up in the near future. So that application is provided here for you. He is a resident of town, lives on Jones Street. Spent 27 years in the military, 9 years in civil service. And that's his application.
You know who, Frank? You do? Is it urgent that you feel that now?
If we don't fill the position, then we will be one member short from a full board at our October hearing.
Of what we need,
I'm sorry,
of what we need
of what
for our
we need.
meeting? Yeah, we need.
We need 5 to have a full board, and there's only 4 currently
We need
that
to-
would be available for that hearing
we
without
need to put him in.
filling that alternate. He would actually be an alternate. So it wouldn't be a regular position, it'd be an alternate position. Assuming that you decide to move, who was it, Jane? Don or Joe had already been moved up?
I think we already moved Joe.
So you moving Don Redfern up into the regular position would open up Don's alternate position, and then Joe's alternate position is also available. So this would be an alternate, but he would be expected to participate in next year if available.
Entertain a motion to appoint. Got a motion on the floor, all those in favor? Didn't see that. I didn't see 6 at all.
I'm sorry.
I didn't see it at all. All right, you're up now.
All right. I'll get back to the top of the screen here, so everybody can see the rest of the agenda again.
Is there a fire department?
Fire department.
Is there a fire department?
There's one included, didn't know did you want to provide a fire department report for us this evening?
The report, please, personnel.
All right.
Let's get a question.
Thank you. All right. So comments tonight, earlier today, we did begin work on Bell Street there to Manual Church, where we had the washout. Took some time to get the gravel in there. I got some ABC in there, so the guys were out there today, putting it in place, packing it. I saw some pictures. I hadn't been able to be by there yet, but what I saw looked good. So that project should be wrapping up. We should have some more excess gravel from that project, so we're going to be looking for other places along the right of way where it needs it, so we can fill some of those holes as well. I did receive some updated site plans for Riptide Car Wash. What has happened since the town's approval of that project is DOT has required a turn lane in order to turn onto Old Highway 58. The changes that are being made is simply to give up 12 feet of that right of way. Basically pushing the landscaping buffer 12 feet closer to the building. So they're not proposing moving the building anywhere. All of the landscaping that was proposed is still proposed. It's just a new lane will be there. Sidewalk will be pushed back and then the landscaping will be pushed back a little bit. They did design it with that in mind, knowing that DOT may require it. They had indicated that they may or may not. And so they designed it so it would have really minimal impacts to their site plan. Everything else stays the same. So I've been asked to sign off on that DOT driveway access plan, which includes that with it. Unless the board has any objections, I'll sign off on it as a minor change.
They go start date.
No. So I think this is the last state approval that they finally needed was the driveway permit. And they won't get that until I sign off on it after. So there's that. The planning.
That's needed.
Yeah,
That's gonna help that right there.
that's gonna help out a lot.
Yeah, we mentioned it before when you looked at that commercial site plan. All the tractor trailers that currently turn onto Old Highway 58 have to drive over the sidewalk, almost hitting the power pole that's there. So all of that will get relocated, pushed back off the road. It'll be a lot safer entrance there. The planning board at their next meeting will be taking a look at a text amendment regarding location of park structures. We talked about that before when we were looking at the grant application for the bathroom facility at Boathouse Creek Park. So they'll be looking at that at their next meeting. So you'll be looking at it next month. Also next month, you will have a special use permit for another new business as well. I'll send that out as we get a little closer. I did have a conversation this past month with the League of Municipalities. They have a safety grant that we would qualify for, about $5,000 possible for different safety improvements. I'm looking to see what we have in our budget that may work to satisfy what they would be looking for in order to qualify for that grant. So I'll let you know. The one thing that we really didn't budget for, but I think is something that our guys could really use from a safety standpoint is one of the signage boards that you can mount to the back of the truck that has the arrow. So when the guys are working along the right of way, they can use the other truck behind them to direct traffic around and not have to just rely on the little flashers on their equipment or signs or that sort of thing. Or cones. So I think that qualifies. Waiting to verify that. But if so, that would, I think it's a 50-50 match up to the amount that they can give us. So I'm looking into that to see what that would cost. I hope to get that back to you.
That would come in handy when you get the street cleaner deal.
Yeah. Whenever they come through, would be certainly helpful. I did send out the RFP for the generator for town hall. That is something that was budgeted for this year. The deadline for submissions for that is before your next meeting. So you'll have that to review at your next meeting, all those bids for that. If there's anybody watching or anybody in the audience who's a contractor installing generators, please let me know. I'll make sure I get you a copy of that RFP. We did issue certificates of compliance for the anticipated opening of Anchor Dental and the Bound and Brewed bookstore coffee shop. Both of those located directly adjoining the extra space storage facility in the little units that are there beside of it. So they should be opening those businesses here pretty soon.
That fills him up, doesn't it?
That does fill them up. Yep. Let's see. As I mentioned earlier, with regard to the application that we received, the Board of Adjustment will have an appeal hearing on October 15th. Notifications will be going out towards the end of this month to all the joining property owners, the agenda packet and all that sort of stuff. We're in the process of putting together the record on appeal. It is an appeal of an administrative decision regarding the denial of a stormwater permit, or I'm sorry, a floodplain development permit. Floodplain development. Last thing that I have for you is you have all been invited to participate in the 50th annual Christmas parade. Christmas through the years, put on by the town of Newport. The date is Sunday, Sunday, December 7th at 3 p.m. in downtown Newport. If any of you are interested, let me know and I'll coordinate getting you in contact with the right person there with the town of Newport. If you're interested in participating in that. And the last thing that I have for you, is I had the town manager of Cape Carteret, Gene Foxworth, reach out to me in the last couple of weeks, wanting to address the zip code issue. As you're aware, we use the 28584 zip code here in Cedar Point, which is the same as what Swansboro uses. Since the post office is in Swansboro, it's been brought to Cape Carteret's attention that some purchases that were made online through Lowe's hardware had been improperly credited as belonging in Onslow County, which means any tax revenue that was generated from that was going to Onslow County as opposed to Carteret County. We did find that to also be the case when Tractor Supply first opened up. Their system defaulted to Onslow County. We had to work with them for several months after they opened to get that corrected. Cape Carteret has submitted a request to the county, asking the county to make a similar request to see about some way of having a zip code dedicated to Western Carteret County, whether that be a new zip code with or without a new post office. Certainly, I think the preference there from them anyhow was a new post office, or whether that involves, sharing emeralds, some way of making sure that from a tax standpoint, all the tax revenue generated in Carteret County comes back to Carteret County as opposed to they have basically asked whether or not the town of Cedar Point would be supportive of their request as well. And if so, would we be willing to send a request to the county commissioners or to the postal service or anyone that it takes to kind of help move that forward?
I'm in favor.
I'm in too.
Yeah, I'm in favor because it is a problem.
It's a problem.
Been a problem for a long time.
It's a problem when you go get your license and pay your taxes as well.
Yep.
So I think it's
confusing.
It's very confusing. I know we're a fine line, but I think it'll help out a lot, especially as we're growing with these businesses.
Well, you don't know where some of the money's going.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Could be going to Onslow County.
Yeah,
That's why Will wanted to do it.
it makes sense to me.
Yeah, I know it's something that has been tried in the past.
Yeah,
At least 15 years ago, I know when I was in Cape Carteret, we tried it back then. The response years ago was that they wouldn't do a new zip code without a post office, and they're not putting in any new post offices. So that was their response back then. But if we can get enough support, between the town, between the county, between some of our local delegates at the state level, maybe we can influence it this time.
Mayor, I'm going to recommend a motion.
okay.
I'll make a motion. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'd be happy to, but I just want to clarify what I'm saying.
You want to get our zip code changed?
All right, I move that we support Cape Carteret's effort, get our zip code changed.
To include Cedar Point.
To include Cedar Point.
Got a motion on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Will can build us a post office.
Yeah.
That's his next. That's his next step.
Yeah.
That's his next step.
Bill, I'm sure it is. Oh, yeah.
You done?
I'm finished.
Really?
That's all I have. Unless you have any questions on me.
Any questions for him? Don't open the door. Open the door. All right, Jane.
I'm good. I do believe we have some public comment though.
State your name and address.
Grant MD, live at 111 Megan's Way, Megan's Bay. So, not to beat a dead horse, the special use permit. Had a couple of concerns with it. I was here at the planning board meeting, and raised a concern. What was your name, sir? David. Representing the CEO for I made some concerns about the development with the hospital being put in. I'm a first responder in Carteret County, and made the comment that when we bring people in an ambulance to the hospital, depending on how many we bring, there's a lot of traffic that comes in, foot traffic, people traffic. And there's a lot of different people from all walks of life that we bring in that need help. Sometimes those people are having the worst day of their lives. And sometimes they get up and walk out of the hospital. And living in Megan's Bay, I have 3 small children, 8, 7, and 5. And I live right across the street from Crystal's house, abutting to the hospital. And I made the comment that it would be nice if there was, I know you said it's a contained system, whatever, in the building, but I didn't hear anything about a fence. If there could be a fence around the perimeter. And I was hoping that could be included in the development. I know it's an afterthought, you guys have already done everything and agreed to everything to the terms, but just going forward, member of my community, like to protect my community. I don't think the hospital is a bad thing. Well, I want it where it is, not seeking more data that I can say to that. But I think it's good for the county to split the difference between Moorhead and Neal and Onslow. Of course, cut down run times, we're good. Proper help to people who need it in the short amount of time. But there is always a risk associated with everything. And I've been a firefighter for 14 years now. And like I said, I've seen a lot of different walks of life. So that's something that you guys could consider. That would be greatly appreciated for our community, abutting a hospital up to a residential community. And everything else I think has already been said. That's all I got. Thanks.
Thanks.
Just follow up with what he said.
If you would come to the podium and state your name and address for the
I
record.
was gonna state my name and it just. I've got problems with all that.
What-
And I
If you can, because we can't hear you out there. We won't hear.
can't hear me.
No, we can't hear you.
I'm sorry about that.
We have a microphone and it is being recorded, so it does help.
Yeah, no, that's fine. My name is Linda Denmead. I live in Megan's Bay. And to what he just said about, I didn't see anything and I tried to listen really carefully tonight. I know it's already a done deal. I think it was a little bit, and I'm not gonna say this because it's not a nice thing to say. So I won't say it, but I mean, the gentleman here is asking, his children live there. He's seen all parts of life, walk into hospitals. He's seen people leave hospitals. You know, we have our children there. I mean, what are you gonna answer about putting a fence up there to keep those people that are gonna walk out of the hospital from coming into Megan's Bay and maybe harming our children? What are we gonna do about that? Nothing. I don't see anything being answered tonight, really. It's a done deal, understand it, but there's still important things to be done to our community that we need answered. I mean, it's sad. It really is sad. And I mean, what, gentlemen, did you want to ask me something?
No, I'm assuming that this hospital will have some kind of security force there, like every hospital does.
Well, I
To
didn't hear
ensure
anything
that
about
they don't
security
wander
force.
off.
Did anybody hear anything about security force? But that still doesn't answer the question about, hey, we see people get past security force all the time. They get past it. So I'm just saying, can you please consider about putting a fence up there? Can you consider? I mean, you know, we're really concerned about our, and this is right, our property value is gonna be in the two, I mean, it's going down so fast. And I just don't see how, you know, you can have a septic system that's gonna be safe. You know, and you know, what you guys have done and voted in our community is so safe. I mean, I had deer run up against the fence, and it'll be the same thing, up against a fence, nowhere to go. You know, and I thought you people were the people that were gonna care for our community, keep the ambience, keep it beautiful. Well, it's gone. It's gone with this, and I hope you board members all know this, that it's your name on this, that this happened. And it is so sad. It is so sad. And I just don't understand it. You know, and like I said, it's on you guys. And it'll go down as being on you guys, that you said sure to the hospital, because the hospital does not belong in this community. And a lot more needs to be said about it. And I mean, there's a lot of things that nobody answered tonight that I think we all took our time to come here because we love Cedar Point. You know, we love everything about this, and I didn't see anything answered. I just saw people just passing over it, every one of you just pass over it. And I just thought that at least somebody could just be gentlemanly enough or whatever, just stand up and say, this is why we did this and this is what's happening. You know, hey, you know, this is what's gonna happen. I don't understand it, you know, and it's just really unfair. I think you got it. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Tanya Melton. I'm at 100 Mary Catherine Court here in Cedar Point. I don't know if I necessarily have a question or if maybe I do. Am I correct in, if I remember wrong, and I could, at the planning board meeting on September the 9th, I thought, and I should have brought my notes, did we not discuss something else?
Yes.
And did we not discuss, the security and the lights? And maybe I'm wrong.
It was.
I thought that all that was discussed at the planning board meeting, but nobody was here. But no, you all weren't here that night. And that's why I'm so confused. But I did think that we did discuss that and you spoke on that fence.
Yeah, I said that we would look into that.
Yes. And did we not? And I think I remember you asking that be a strong consideration.
I don't remember that because I can't do
Okay,
that.
okay.
The reason that what happened was the planning board, in and of their own volition,
Mhm.
wanted to make a recommendation that a fence
Yeah.
be required.
And you said we couldn't.
However, our ordinances don't require
That's
that.
right.
If the need
Yes.
for a fence were something that were required to meet some of the standards of the special use permit, then that should have come out during the hearing.
Mm-hmm. That's right. I'm just making sure I understood, because I'm sitting here hearing this and I'm thinking, wait a minute, I've heard all this, but that was on the night. So, okay.
Yeah, so the planning board is a recommendation board.
Yes.
Their recommendation
Yes.
was solely limited to the
Yes.
commercial site plan itself.
Yes.
But we didn't have, under the authority of a
Yes.
commercial site plan, cannot require a
Yes.
fence that.
We can ask Kyle to consider, but we can't
Yes.
tell
And
him to do
he
it.
spoke about it, and he did. He spoke about the security and the lights and the fence and the noise and everything. And the bushes and the trees. Yeah, I'm just making sure.
Thanks, Tanya.
And Crystal Shaw from 120 Megan's Way. Ms. Tanya, the reason that most of us were not at that plan board meeting is because the town issued out letters in 2021 that specifically stated that it was one type of building. That's what was presented to us as a homeowner. That's what I received. I did that and I had it. I thought, well, it's the lesser of other people's that we could have. Then we turn around, we're in 2025, and all of a sudden, Carteret Healthcare purchased at the end of October, in October of last year, they purchased the additional tracks. They then decided, to my understanding, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, then to turn it into something else. What you mentioned earlier, you thought it was just gonna be 12-hour, and we're told that you couldn't do a 12-hour. What was told to us was that it was going to be like the building, again, across the street. They were gonna have specialty care, imaging, blah, blah, blah. Fine. Then all of a sudden, we find out that there's a 24-hour ER. It was never communicated clearly, and there was not a special use permit hearing about this meeting prior to it going out to the community that, oh, Carteret County is getting a new hospital, Cedar Point's getting a new hospital. Everybody thought it was a done deal, so they, of course, like, people were accepting of it. They think, oh, this is it, like, well, we're just gonna accept it. I know a couple people who were sitting in the front row. I've spoken to my community about it. They all said the same thing. Well, we thought it was a done deal. We thought it was a done deal. I reached out to David Reef, expressed some of my concerns in July. David and I communicated back and forth. He provided me excellent answers and responses, always very helpful. And I had pointed out to him that there was never a special use permit hearing for this building. And I think that that's unethical. And honestly, it might be a little bit illegal to put out information about a hospital being in our community without it ever going through the proper due process. It was put all over social media. It was put in the news, everything, and everybody just accepted it because they're like, this is okay, great. You know, we're here. The town has already approved of it. Well, there was never, to my knowledge, a special use permit for a 24-hour healthcare until tonight. And that didn't come until after I had reached out to David and said, hey, what is going on with this building? Why are we here? Has nobody listened to any concerns from the community about this? And then he went back through y'all's notes and said himself that what was proposed in 2021 is different than what's being proposed now. So there's a 4-year gap that most people we didn't even know that this was coming or going down the pipeline. And now all of a sudden here we're in front of you guys and you all approved it because you have been given all the information over how long of a period of time. The town hasn't been given all that information over a period of time. There was never any special use permit hearings for people to be able to get up and express their concerns. It just is laid in front of us. And you have, like I said, some people are just like, well, Crystal, I mean, it's already a done deal. Why does it matter? The town already voted on it. And I'm like, I don't know of the town voting on it. I never heard of the commissioners voting on it. I never was informed of it even changing. I never got a letter. I'm an abutting property. I should have the right to get a letter that's saying this is going to be changed to a hospital, and it wasn't. And that's why there are so many people here tonight, and everyone is confused because they were not at the September. Some of them were not at the September 9th meeting. I was not there. I have kids in sports. Everybody has different things. I did not know that this was going to be an ER. And it was never presented to us as an ER until this spring. And all of a sudden, it's like, it's the newest hot thing in Carteret County. And it was never presented to us in a way where people could actually come and express their concerns. So I'm sorry. I know it's not your fault, Mr. Kyle. I respect you. I respect Carteret General Hospital. That's where I go. I will continue to go and support it. It's just, we were not informed in the proper manner. And I don't know what the due process is for the planning board, for the commissioners. Is it normal that someone proposes something to you and then you just it goes out on social media before it even goes in front of the town to be able to give their opinions and remarks? I mean, what is the normal chain of, like, what is the normal process that you guys have for something such as this? From 2021 to 2025, and here we are.
It can change. We don't get it till it comes in front of us. We can't even talk to each other about a special use at all.
Until
We can't go to the property and look at it. We can't
Mhm.
do any of that stuff on the special use.
So then how was it able to be put out
It-
on social media and everything else that this big hospital, the drawings of it, the write-up in the newspaper, the
They all put it
interviews?
up. It didn't come to us. We got it the same time you got it. And
We
when-
can't
when the-
control what the public does, whether that be an applicant or someone else. Next
What-
month, the board will be taking a look at another special use permit. But I'm not telling them where it is at this point in time until they get the agenda packet at the same time it goes out to the public. So that it reduces the risk of them violating all the conditions of what they're supposed to do. Now, if that applicant puts out that they're coming to Cedar Point without having that approval in place, that's on them.
I mean, but that's exactly what happened, because, I mean, it was all over everything. It was all, I mean, there were news interviews, live news interviews of this hospital. So Cedar Point and the people of Cedar Point, they just accepted it, like it's already happened. I mean, why would they think any differently? But that's just my opinion, and obviously it doesn't really matter. I just wanted to clarify, Tanya, why there was a distance, because it's not what was proposed.
Good evening, board. Good evening, residents. I am Mary Ann Waldrop. I am the county commissioner for this district. I do want to set the record straight, and I don't know all the proper terms for the meeting, but I do want to recall on the 11th of June, several of us here, and I advertised it on my Facebook page, that the state came and had a public hearing. Kyle spoke, I spoke, John Nash spoke, David Reeve spoke, Western Carteret Emergency and Fire came and spoke. That was 11th of June at Western Carteret Library. Open to the public, was advertised. I sent it around on my Facebook page. That was the time for you all to hear what exactly was going to be in this complex. And you had the opportunity to speak probably more than you do here. And we could have gone on for hours, but it was conspicuously not well attended, in my personal opinion. So anyway, I just wanted to back this up, that there was a public hearing on the 11th of June. And then again, another one that we were required to have in Beaufort, talking about the surgical component that is being added to the complex. So I just want to go on record as saying that it wasn't just the planning board. The state has a process that requires Carteret Health and probably any other entity that looks like what he is providing the county. It is required to go in front of the state, and we had the opportunity to go. Again, Mary Ann Waldrop, I'm proud to serve, but I have been involved, and I'm involved in a lot of things. But I heard about the hearing, and I immediately contacted everybody I knew and said, if you guys want to know more about the complex that's being developed here in Cedar Point, please go to the hearing.
How did you hear about it?
News.
On the news?
Mhm.
What channel?
Yeah, so I was not special.
And
No,
what was-
newspaper.
what was-
It was
what was-
published. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Topic
Thank you.
of that hearing? What was the
Wanted
topic?
to know what the public thought about bringing Cedar Point a freestanding ER.
Freestanding.
Freestanding ER. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Thank you.
I think it was wrong, but, thank you anyway, and I appreciate you serving.
I really do. I just don't understand what happened. I don't think the public was well informed about it. I honestly don't. I just don't.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, that's how I.
All right, Jerry, it's on you.
Happy fall. Happy fall. I know it's a good time. I know there's never good, there's never, bad in these situations, but we're in a situation where I think it's the right thing for this community to have a facility that we can go to. I'm hoping that if I ever get hurt or if I'm in an emergency situation, I know at least there's something close by instead of me having to make a decision if I'm going to die 30 minutes going to Jacksonville or 30 minutes going to Morehead City. So, it's one of those things like, and here's what I'd like to ask people. If we didn't put this hospital there, what would be there?
Storage.
Car lot?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, something was going to go there. It's prime property for something. Walmart, it could have been a grocery store. B1 is B1. And I think at the end of the day, if you say, what is the number one need that we need in Cedar Point and Western Carteret, we need some type of medical facility for something. MRI. Look at MRI. We are a hub to support, something good. And I know that there's some people that aren't happy with our decisions and everything, but at the end of the day, I have to say that I've been a part of this process when it happened 2 or 3 years ago with the planning board. And I was excited to see that there was going to be a facility in this area, because at the end of the day, we do not have a facility here right now to support anything that happens within 30 minutes from here. So happy fall, happy October. It's coming up, and going out of the country Sunday. So
And not coming back.
and no. But anyway, I won't be around for a week. So
I'm leaving Sunday too, but I'm not going out of the country.
but and I want to thank the Carteret Healthcare. Because this is not an easy process. I've said it earlier. The process they had to go through and all the dot the I's, cross the T's with the state and DOT and all the engineers and everything. This just wasn't happened overnight. You know what I mean? This has been an ongoing thing now for years, and I appreciate all your hard work. And I think it's here for the right reasons. I understand the issues and complaints and everything, but I think we can work through those and solve some of those issues together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I want to say, somebody mentioned that, how are we going to keep this a small town feel? I think when they put a 5-lane road through here, we kind of lost that small town. You got all kind of traffic coming through here. I think this hospital is one of the best things coming. And it was going to go somewhere. I'm like Jerry, it could have been anything. You could have more traffic with a grocery store coming in there, or a car lot, with sitting on your back deck and hearing Bill line 1, Bill line 1 at night, in the evening, all day long with lights shining down. And I just think that everybody's, if it butts up to your property, it butts up to my property. Doesn't bother me though. I just think it's one of the best feels for the property. And I personally don't want a privacy fence right behind my house. I've got vegetation that I planted myself back there on my property line. I use my own vegetation, my own buffer. And I think in the long run, this is going to be a good thing. We need it in this end of the county. And I know there's a lot of opposition on it, but I just don't think y'all are going to hate it after it's there. I think you're not going to hear the traffic you think, or the sirens coming in and out of there. Happy fall. That's it. That's all I can.
Thanks. Fall it is.
I want to, most of them have left now, but I want to let the residents that voice their opinion know that we take that seriously and we appreciate their input. I feel bad that you guys didn't hear about it, but it has been out there. I knew about it a long time ago. I think that it is something sorely needed, not only in this end of the county, but we're going to be helpful for other people around us too, because it's a lot closer from Swansboro, from Maysville, from Emerald Isle, all those things. We all need an emergency room. Should something bad happen, and like the gentleman said, that's oftentimes a person's worst day. And the faster that we can help them, the better. I understand the security issues, and I think that we can work through that together. Though we can't require it, I think we can work through something. And I appreciate your input on that, Kyle. That's helpful. And I mean, the state agreed with us, right? Or not just with us, but the state agreed that this was necessary and needed. And they had to actually get approval for that. So they've done that, and that's a good thing. I think this is going to be a positive overall for the community, and I know that not everybody agrees, and I also understand the feelings for the folks whose property butts up against it, but something was going to be built there, and your property was going to butt up against something, whether it was condos, whether it was another business, it was something. And I think it'll be more of a buffer than you think as well. So I guess I think we've gotten off to a good start with the school year, and I hope you all have a great beginning to your fall season.
Case in point, today between 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock this afternoon, we had 3 EMS calls and 2 fire calls in Cedar Point. When an ambulance leaves fire station on an EMS call, he gets back about an hour to 90 minutes later. Just think about how well this community will be served that within a half hour from the time it leaves to the time it drops off the patient at our new ER and get back in service, how many lives will be saved when you're not competing against 32,000 car trips a day on 24 and going to Jacksonville or Morehead City in rush hour. You may not like it as a neighbor, but as a community member, you need it, and it will save lives.
I'm just gonna reiterate what everybody else said. I've lived here my entire life, and it's always been a thing that if your loved one got sick, you had a 40-minute ride to Morehead. This was brought up, like you said, in 21, yet changed. I'm pretty sure we did the due diligence of advertising all these meetings. I heard about them, not just in this building, but heard about them other places. As Pam stated, if I'd rather have a hospital there than a Wawa that's open 24 hours. I mean, anything could go there, and it's close enough to the business district. I was just kind of happy for the residents there that was going to be a hospital and not some kind of department store or something like that. But I appreciate the board for going through, and there was a lot of positive in this town. I mean, you only heard the negative sitting in this room tonight. There is 2,000% more positive than negative I heard tonight. We need a hospital down here. I'm glad it's in Cedar Point. It's like, okay. But I like it. I think any issues that you have, bring it up today. We will try our best as a board to resolve them with the hospital. I think they'll be welcome to our suggestions. But I don't think it's going to be as bad as you think it's going to be. I think you'll welcome it more than you'll hate it. Instead of something like a gas station type business or a car lot, in my opinion. But thank you, board, for passing it. Happy fall, guys.
Thanks, Frank. So the hospital is just not for this community. This hospital stretches out. This goes to Swansboro. It goes past Swansboro. It's going to go all the way to Morehead instead of going to that hospital. I don't necessarily go to Morehead. I've been going to New Bern for years. I've had 2 heart surgeries. I've had heart attacks. I mean, when it gets serious, when you can have something here that you can get to where they have to try to get you to Newbern before you die. So that thing over there, there's no telling how many lives that emergency room is going to save. And you can go down there and talk to the chief and he'll tell you. Sometimes they're out here just like today, the 5 calls they got today. Well, they got to drive to Morehead City. They're not going to have to do that anymore. They can get us right here. We are the only show in Western Carteret County. Everything else is on the other end. So that thing, when I first heard about it, I was excited. You know, most people didn't knock on my door. A lot of people know where I've lived. I've lived here all my life. They knock on my door, and they knock on my door when it isn't good. But I haven't heard any bad about this right here. We have 32,000 cars drive on this road a day. I don't think the hospital is going to make any impact at all. There's just not going to be that many people in there on a daily basis, and they're going to be able to get in and out. They're going to have security at that hospital that's never been behind your house. And there was a road back there with dump trucks parked on it and all kinds of people in there doing stuff.
All the people back there partying.
I know it. I know it. I know it. I'm from
See it.
You know, Gary parties. I don't party, but so he probably joined it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but this thing's a lifesaver. So when I look at something, and I think this entire board does because we've worked together for a while, we try to look at the greater good. So sometimes everybody doesn't agree with the greater good, and I get it. And I want to hear every problem you've got to see if we can fix what those problems was. Every time we pass something on to Kyle, he says he'll look at it, he'll try to do it, but we're still asking. We do it in everything that comes here. We have these buildings like the storage building over here. They didn't want to build that thing to look like that. We asked them to do stuff because we actually couldn't tell them how to build that building, but we asked them changes and we got it. You ever seen a Go Gas look like our Go Gas? No, they go to Swansboro, look at their Go Gas. It's pitiful. This one here actually looks decent. We asked those guys, we worked with them. We couldn't make them do it. I mean, David, he can talk somebody into anything. And I mean, that's what he was doing. I mean, he helps us on those things. So, I mean, you know, I know everybody doesn't like everything like that. I live behind the shops down here at Cedar Point where the paint store is and everything. There is no buffer between my house and that parking lot and those store right there. No buffer. And we can't go back and make them put a buffer there. But there's no buffer there. My house backs up to riptides. So everybody that goes over the riptides in a golf cart, they drink the beer cans go in my yard, and then they stop at my trees to do other stuff. Been going on for years, but I can't do anything about it. So you're not going to have that over there. It's just not going to happen. So we really do try to do the best for the town that we can. And believe you me, most of the woods in Cedar Point, he'll tell you, I'm quite a bit older than Frankie. I'm more of a daddy's age. But I used to hunt in these woods here. Where Megan's Bay is, we hunted in there. And I hunted down the whole side, including Winberry Farm and Cedar Point. And this side, I coon hunted all the way to the water. So when we talk about change in Cedar Point, this Highway 24 out here, when I went to high school in Swansboro, I graduated in 72. That road was 2 lanes, narrow as can be, from Morehead City all the way to Jacksonville. I'm talking narrow. So change, Cedar Point has changed. I would love it to stay like it was when I was a boy in Swansboro in the early 50s. Been great, but things move forward. But we as a board try to manage it the best way we can. And we do a lot of things in these things, and we say we wish we had some people here to tell us what's going on, don't we? This is the biggest crowd we've had here in how many years? Years. I mean, we have a handful half the time. And we want people to come to our meetings. It doesn't matter what it is. We really do. And if you notice tonight, you don't see any clock up here where I cut anybody off talking. And I let people talk. This thing right here, what we had in front of us tonight, the special use permit. I'm not even supposed to let anybody else talk. You got to be sworn in and we got to go through the stuff on a special use. I can't do it, but I did it anyway. Because I wanted to hear what you had to say. So, but I don't flip a clock and mash a buzzer like they do in other towns and counties. I don't do it. If you guys want to come to the meetings, you can suggest anything to us. And if we can help you do it, we'll do it. And if you need help, get with us and we'll help you. And that's all I got. I'm glad y'all came. I appreciate it. We will keep moving on the hospital and see if we can make it the best you want. Yeah. And I know everybody ain't happy and it hurt. I hate it. I really do hate it.
But I wish people would have just stayed and listened to our comments.
I do too. I really do.
Take them back to it. So you
I really,
tell them what we
because
said.
that bothered me because when we were in our special use permit, we couldn't say those things. And
That's when we get our opportunity to talk is in our comments, just
Yeah.
like y'all do.
You know,
We don't get in a back and forth argument or nothing like that. Like when you got up and talked, I knew exactly what you were saying because I've lived it. Personally lived it. So
yeah, I just really wish they would have just stayed around instead of walking out of here angry, because we're all in it for the same reasons.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm serving because I like Cedar Point and I want it to be the best community that it could possibly be to support everybody.
that one right there. His daddy owns Winberry Farms. Y'all know him. I mean, he's been around forever. I mean, he cares more about Cedar Point than any man I ever seen.
The
Ever.
last survivor that's not so well.
Yeah.
Cedar Point.
And you told me you wasn't selling all. I know. I know. Well, that's all I got, y'all. I hope y'all come to the next regular scheduled meeting. It's on October 22nd. It's 6:30.
Yeah.
Come to Cedar Fest.
Cedar Fest, October 18th. All the meetings recordings are put on the website too. Like,
Entertain a motion.
I'm gonna leave, Jordan.
Got a motion on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Now adjourned. Thank you.
Figured I lost some votes tonight.
I find it ironic that that's life flight that's